Berlin-based startup Infarm raised 100 million a year ago in their Series B funding and just announced their expansion into Japan at the end of February. The company offers indoor farming solutions for retailers, allowing supermarket customers to buy salad greens and vegetables that are grown right in the store. Urban farming has moved from a trend small-scale farmers have hopped onto to a very viable business that established venture capitalists are willing to back. Kimball Musk, and yes, that's Elon's brother, also has a vertical/urban farming startup called Square Roots that grows 120 different varieties of crops in containers year-round. The way our food is grown is changing, and many of the changes that already took place we don't even notice. Most of the salad mixes available at your local store are actually grown hydroponically, meaning not on a traditional field in soil, but in a nutrient solution under grow lights and indoors. Most innovations from 1990 to 2010 moved away from traditional farming. This is why we got GMO crops, for example. But at around 2010, a shift to still innovative but more sustainable methods started to happen. Under pressure from more environmentally conscious customers, many farmers were forced to ask themselves if pesticides are necessary for a competitive farming operation. At the same time, many hobby gardeners used the ever more affordable hydroponics equipment to not just grow in their backyard, but also indoors. And this started a little revolution in the States. Anyone with the right equipment and know-how could grow large quantities of food at home. Decentralized farming was born. So, how did I actually get into all of this? Well, the short answer is, like most people, because of the virus, I had a bunch of free time. And whenever I have a lot of free time, I do one of two things. I either watch a bunch of YouTube videos or come up with business ideas. This time I did both. I've already watched some videos about the microgreen movement in 2018, but never really got into it because I didn't really trust the business side of the movement. But this spring I did some more research and got back into it. I know now that I should have started back then, but it's still possible now, it always is. The only difference is that the later you start, the smaller the initial opportunity becomes, i.e. the less money you can make from it because of competition. Still, I was motivated and decided to just start growing in my mom's trays. And you can think of these like baking trays. And I put a very small layer of soil down, around 2 centimeters, put my seeds in, and started growing them under my studio lights, which I actually use for filming my videos. Of course, my first attempts turned out a bit crooked, and I hope I can find the pictures so I can put them up on the screen so you can see what I'm talking about. But I got better the more I grew, and as I got better, I also noticed that I just really enjoyed it. It's a really powerful feeling if what you've grown all the way from the seed actually ends up on your plate. And it also just makes you appreciate food in general and what you're eating a lot more. It also goes back to one of my core desires that echo throughout my life and actions. And oh wow, we're getting real philosophical now. I don't know why, but I have this strong urge to be independent. Usually this manifests itself by wanting to be financially independent and starting a business and such. And I think being self-sustaining from a food and ecological standpoint was just a quite literal, natural extension of that core desire of independence. It also is a really humbling thing to do, because the more you learn about farming, the more you realize that you as the farmer actually don't contribute that much to the crop growing. It does all of that by itself. You're just the one giving it the right conditions. Now, all of these were very personal benefits to me, but there are also plenty of subjective ones. Freshly harvested produce contains 50% more vitamins than the vegetables you buy at the store. Also, I know not very scientific, but they also just taste really damn good in my opinion. And you probably had them already. They're often used as a garnish on dishes or in salads to give them a more unique flavor. To be honest, I've never been much of a salad person, but microgreens I like. Third benefit, and that's a bit of an economic one, they have a very short growth cycle. Most greens go from sowing to harvest within a week, meaning that even if you're just growing a small tray for yourself, you're going to have a surplus real soon. And that surplus is what you can turn into a business. Well, this started out as just being a simple business idea. It ended up being much more than that. Still, we gotta put bread on the table and have a surplus to sell, so, and I know this sounds like Shark Tank, what's the business model? Well, it's actually quite simple. Number one, you use your spare room to grow crops. Second, you deliver to restaurants or sell at farmers markets. And third, repeat. I get that this is grossly simplified, but we'll get into specifics in my upcoming videos. I'll walk you through all the steps from legal requirements to actually approaching chefs and much more. Now to the penultimate part. When I came to Vienna, I started from very ambitious startup expectations. Think your typical tech SAS type startup. But I soon realized that that might be the wrong approach. First, because you need a bomb team. And second, when starting an SAS type startup, you definitely gotta know what you're doing. So I shifted my focus to something quite literally more tangible. Growing microgreens for profit. And this time my goal was way simpler. Make enough money independently to support myself. And to prove to myself that I can make a living doing what I love. This doesn't mean that this idea can't be turned into what you think of as a typical startup. The road is just different. It's what Eric Ries describes as the lean startup in his best-selling book with the same title. There are 2 points from this approach. Don't set too high expectations, but at the same time, don't be satisfied with limited success. So let's go over these real quick because they seem kind of contradictory. The first is an ex-ante point. Going into this, don't expect too much from it. And don't set your company up like you're competing with Apple or something. Second, and this is more of an ex-post point, once you achieved success and have proven your business model, don't stop there, keep going. And that's where a lot of small business owners actually stall. Once you've come to some success and achieved relative stability, you have to keep going to reach the rapid growth and scale of a traditional startup. So what's next? In my next video in this series, I'll show you how I grow my crops and some miscellaneous and legal stuff you have to deal with before starting your microgreens business. So make sure to subscribe to my channel and switch on notifications to not miss any of that. I want to conclude by reiterating a point I've already made in the video, to really make it stick. It's never too late to start a business, but the later you start, the harder it gets. So the best time to start is now. So what are you waiting for? Now is the time. Go!